Hmm. Are we live? I can see myself on the little screen down there on YouTube. I can see myself there on the little screen. We're just gonna get started, I suppose. Where is it, Glow? Sup, shooters! My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB live streams where for just $6 as part of the $6 live request live stream, you can have a song reviewed via Ko-fi. This can be for like a YouTube link. Just give it a moment. It can be like a YouTube link, or it can be like a Spotify link, or whatever you want. We are reviewing songs for you. And if you have a song you'd like us to check out, we can do that. We're going to listen to up to 5 minutes of it as per... The details are in the description for the video as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But otherwise, we are here. It is the 25th of January at the moment. I've just been outside gardening, and I am in to do this. So yeah, that's the intro. That is the intro done. If we switch over to here, we have ourselves the album on the screen that I made a little while back. There's lots of other cool songs on here, but that is Glow, which is one of my favorite ones. More importantly, I suppose, I don't know where the hell that is. There should be 3. Why are there not 3? Oh, there's not a 3rd page. Oh. Why? Yeah, okay, that one. Here we go. And so that's fine. I think that's fine. So we're just here today to see if anybody wants a song review. If you don't, that's fine. I haven't been here this week because I have been sorting out my house. I won't go too much into it. It's just that in New Zealand, there are some houses that are built in a way you've got to be a bit more careful about them. And so we've just been doing some sort of testing on it to make sure it's looking good. And for the most part it is. We're just sort of finalizing some stuff at the moment. Sup, Droyan? Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. How is your weekend going? Is it going good? So yeah, we've just been fixing stuff with the just fixing stuff with the live streams. I don't think there's any issues with the stream settings here. Good to hear you're good. I'm okay. It's been a stressful week, but it's good to have gotten a lot done. And it's great to be at the weekend and just to be able to chill. I don't know about you, like I actually don't mind gardening. I think it's nice to go outside and kind of have a go at stuff and sort of like, you know, get kind of create a garden that you're happy with, that you like. That could just be me becoming a bit older, but I don't mind it anymore. Not as much as I used to, anyways, when I was a bit younger and a bit more, a little bit more kind of like a green guild. But yeah, do you like gardening? I think gardening's pretty cool. I suppose we're in chat phase, aren't we? Yeah, the chat phase. We should probably have a look through some music news. It is a good aerobic exercise. You're absolutely right. Like, I don't know about you, man. I don't get a lot of exercise, but like you pick up a sweat and it's a good kind of sweat. Like you feel like you've accomplished something afterwards. Yeah, they are. Like honestly, we have quite a big garden at the house that we're looking to purchase. So we were thinking we were going to get someone to do it, but it was like $2,500. So for us, we just weren't sure whether we wanted to spend that money getting the gardening done when we could at least have a go ourselves first. Try not to do anything too permanent and kind of just go from there, you know? But it's great that you take care of the garden and that you take care of yourself. Yeah, it's a bit. It's definitely a bit. You know, like it can be tricky to to understand, I suppose. Not for me personally. Yeah, exactly. Like we do have like a dozen trees. We do have like a dozen trees, and some of them are very big. Um, and those may require arborists. One in particular is potentially looking like it's going to need a bit of work just to make sure it's okay for the time that we're looking to have the house. But at this point in time, it's been checked out and everything's okay, so that's good. But yeah, if you can do the work on your own, it's usually better to do it that way. What are we going to do? What do we usually do? We do music news. Music news! What is happening in the world of music? Jenny Will celebrated debut a solo album with intimate Ruby Experience shows. Oh, good for her. Good for Jenny. ASAP Rocky trial. Lawyer says rapper fired 2 warning shots from starter pistol to protect pal. Keisha sings Diane Warren's letter to herself. Dare me for new masterclass documentary. Oh, so Keisha's doing a masterclass. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Wouldn't mind checking that out, eh? The masterclass stuff can be pretty cool. Travis Scott goes from Wrestler to Fugitive and Fever Dream 4x4 music video. Evan Rachel Wood endlessly proud of survivors after Marilyn Manson avoids charges. No. Oh no. So, because I heard about Marilyn Manson getting into some trouble for the way that he treated people. So I'm sort of like I'm careful about what I say here. Like there was some assault going on, as I understand it, or at least there was harassment, if I understand correctly. And apparently they did not actually charge them because the claims fell outside the statute of limitations. So that's kind of brutal. Live songs by Johnny Fritz. I mean, it's actually really brutal, should I say, about what happened with Marilyn Manson. It's awful. It's terrible, actually. Esme Bianco deeply disappointed in DA decision to not prosecute Marilyn Manson. Jenny will celebrate. Sup, Jacob? How you doing? Hopefully having a good day today. By the way, Jacob, whilst you're here, I do want to get your SP Patron video done tomorrow. So I'm hoping to have that done then. We will see. As I know it's getting close to the end of the month. There's a few other Patron videos I need to do as well, but they'll get done. That'll be all good. Yeah, it's just going through the listings again, isn't it? So that was Rolling Stone. Music news from Billboard. Deadmau5 calls out Thriller for DJing Trump inaugural boy. Oh yeah, well that's fair. People are going to make their choices. Jewel defends her performance at RFK Jr. inaugural ball, but apologizes to disappointed fans. Joel, RFK Jr. is another level though, depending on how you feel about him. Like another, unless you know. No, I'm not going to get political on this. I'm not going to fence it, but I'm not going to get political about it. Friday Dance Music Guide, the week's best new tracks from Empire of the Sun, Horse Girl, and more. Billy Ray Cyrus's ex-wife Fyro says she's glad the truth is coming to light about the singer. Why? What did Billy Ray Cyrus do? What did he do? Fire Rose is speaking out after her ex-husband Billy Ray Cyrus's widely criticized performance at a pre-inauguration event for Donald Trump left viewers concerned for his well-being. What's being seen in public now reflects much of what I experienced in private during our relationship. It's very sad to see these same struggles continue for him, but I'm glad the truth is coming to light for his potential good, because healing is only possible when you confront the truth and accept there's a problem. For me, I remain focused on my faith, my music, my healing, and using my story to encourage others to find strength and hope. Brutal. Why was it that it was a poor performance, or was it simply because of the fact that he was performing for Trump? Oh. Billy Ray Cyrus's glitchy cover of Old Town Road at Trump's Liberty Ball had him asking, "Is anyone awake?" Brutal. The country singer struggled when no one came to his aid after his guitar malfunctioned during Monday night's rocky January 20th set. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. That would have been quite a big moment for him, you know. Like that would be actually terrifying. Like, I don't know if you guys can imagine this. Can you imagine like doing anything with a tool and getting up on stage and doing it and then realizing that it didn't work and there was absolutely nothing you could do, and that you had like thousands and thousands of people in the audience who just would most likely assume, or half would assume it's just not being prepared enough, but half of it would just, that's messy. That's a bit messy. At one point, he turned his back to the audience for several seconds and moved back to the mic to no avail on what turned into a bizarre lip sync ramble that went viral for all the wrong reasons. "I think yo was just getting warmed up, to be honest. You want to do a little bit more of it?" Cyrus croaked as he strummed the song's melody on his guitar and whistled the chorus through his teeth to a silent audience just after the video's credits rolled behind him. Brutal. Brutal. After singing the song's chorus in a crackly voice and rapidly skipping back and forth across the stage while the crowd finally came to life and sang the lines back at him, Cyrus tried to get the audience to clap along to his a cappella singing, explaining, "They told me to kill as much time as possible," and wondering if they knew the words to his signature 1992 hit, "Achy Breaky Heart." As the awkward silence continued, Cyrus looked in vain for help, asking the crowd, "Do you all want me to sing more, or do you just want me to get the hell off the stage? I don't give a damn." Guitar Tech finally came out and tried to remedy the sound problems with the guitar to no avail. Oh, here we go. All right.
Our next performer is a two-time Grammy winner and has won nearly every award in every genre. He holds the record for a debut album to debut at #1 and stayed there for a record-breaking 17 weeks with "Some Gave All." Also holds the world record.
Stop! When you see a black man on a horse going that fast, you just gotta let him fly.
You're right. That's a horse.
That is a horse.
Daddy?
Whew. That was rough. It should be fine. We'll settle in here for the night.
I sound a little soft. How do you mean? Do you mean audio-wise? Ah, the video. So the video is at full volume. The video's at full volume. Yeah. I don't think... Yeah, okay. I mean, like, I can check my microphone and stuff like that, but I don't think anything's different. I'm just going to check the advanced properties. The audio's around the same as it would be usually. I don't think I've changed any effects. Okay. I mean, the only thing I've changed is that I had, because I usually stream in 1440p, I've realized that there's issues with like the near real time captioning, like the, you know, like there's latency when you stream and when you do live streams. If you have too much latency, people can get what you're saying or thinking like a few seconds after the chat comes in. So I tried to do ultra latency. So I've put it down to 1080p. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I look phased out though, like on the live stream, don't I? Oh no, it's okay. It's actually all right. I'm gonna like listen back to it. Okay, I'm just gonna have a listen back to it on my phone and just see if we can figure this out. All right, I'm just gonna get out of that on YouTube. Let's see if we can quickly fix this. So I've just muted my. So I think that like how do I say this? The video is really quiet, and I'm just like the normal volume. I'm wondering if it's like the direct PBS coverage and they're uploading it at the commercial loudness that they do. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with the loudness of audio from like TV stations and stuff. They're usually quieter than the settings from like a YouTube video or something like that, because YouTube usually goes to like 14.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the back, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your Porsche. I've been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch. Now, can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
That's like my worst nightmare as a musician, is watching, is realizing that you can't be heard, that there's having technical issues, and knowing that you can't really stop it in real time. I feel like this is something they could have easily avoided if they'd just done more testing beforehand. But it's what it is, I suppose, you know. Well, what else can you do? It's not like you were there at the time to sort of tell them how to be absolutely perfect. We're going to sort of step back, though. We've actually got a song from Jacob Good. So we'll have a listen through this. What has Jacob sent for us today? Here we go. Got to check. Thank you very much, Jacob. Appreciate you for sending that through. What song is this? I don't know. Thanks for the request. And then we've got Jacob as well here. Yeah, well, they need to just make sure they have the mic working. I think that was just the main issue, wasn't it? Oh, you mean the one that you're sending through, not this guy. Cool. It's all right. We'll have a listen through it and see what we got. Here we go. All right, let's do it. Thank you to Jacob for this request. We've listened to her before, though. I recognize her. I recognize this woman, eh?
怀里继续金沙，我用生命在看巨浪夺下一片无血染战场，老虎眼睛扎满森林，森林怀里继续辽阔。 我把生命当作成功，不求寻历，只为死退。就像蚂蚁发誓无本回家，就像叶子归途把气温。
I'm being careful about some of these like bigger channels because they do copyright claim. Copyright block, should I say. By the way, Jacob, is the audio better with this one? Is the audio better with this one? I feel like it might be better balanced than the previous one, but if you can let me know if it's okay, that'd be great. Thanks. Thank you very much. You want the music louder. You want the music louder. Really quickly. This is why. This is why I can't have it much louder. If it's acceptable, but it could be louder, if I raise this louder, I'll actually have a loud track, and that will be way too loud. I don't know how to explain this. Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, this is. So basically, I think the Old Town Road song, it just was a quiet render whenever they, yeah. So I think this is the difference really quickly, because I know we're reviewing this track. But it's the difference between like TV coverage as opposed to YouTube uploads is there's like a normalization of like negative 23, I think, or 18 for TV versus like 14 for YouTube. And that's why it's often louder on YouTube versus traditional media. But thank you for letting me know. I mean, the vocals are fantastic, but I also appreciate a lot of the guitar and bass work in the background as well. Hello, how you doing? Welcome to the live stream. So, Jacob says the competition is about writing original songs, and she was runner-up in the previous year. So the judges are pretty proud of how far she's come since then. Yeah, no. So I thought, what is the song called? I'm just going to quickly translate for you, mate, just so I can kind of be able to sort of say who it is. So what I can see there, this is Heidi Ming Su Yun Ying. Is that right? I don't know if you guys can see that down the bottom left. I'm not sure what the track is about, but I think the vocal style is reasonably distinct, and it's memorable, and there's a beauty and a sort of a flutter. It kind of sounds like a bird flying. There's a grace to it. The melodies hover in the air really elegantly, and they soar above the rest of the guitar, bass, string, drum, and other elements within this piece. I think aside from, capable vocal technique, though, in addition to being compelling and having a sense of uniqueness about the texture, tone, and the texture and tone and expression of the vocals, it's also the fact that we knew how to harmonize with the rest of the arrangement. Like, you can tell that they're really into it. They're completely into the zone. And you got these beautiful guitar arpeggios on the side there that, they're incredibly colorful. They're luscious, and they're just so interesting because there's these little extensions there, but it done the way where it's very pretty. They're not trying to needlessly complicate the harmony. It's just they want to add different edges to it by adding some susses and sixths and sevenths to it, you know. But I like the fact that we have that soaring note that goes into the chorus, and there's this bass line that underneath just kind of rises up and it slides up, and it goes with them, and they follow each other really wonderfully. And there's this fantastic chemistry between Sue and the rest of the musicians involved on stage. It's a very competent original. The drums work well primarily because they not only are played well and are in time and are very, very competent, but it's also the fact we have the sort of triplet flow there that is great, how it moves between transfers, or as transfers between parts. It's almost like things crashing down in a sense, but in a way that's very beautiful. Yes, it's about the beauty of nature and advocating for efforts for conservations. Yeah, well, I can hear that. There's a glow and a sense of wonderment with the fluffiness of some of the textures there and kindness. And that is communicated within the music itself. So it's very, very, very good. It's very good. I've got no complaints about it. I feel like it's really well articulated. It's a capable performance with a really, like, each instrument is doing really interesting things in addition to the vocals. So even if they're the focal point, it's still more than what you'd expect or need, which is great. And just studio recording, mixing, mastering on top of it is fantastic. The theme is complicated, but in a way where it's almost like a dream state, and it's hypnotic and wonderful to be a part of. Just want to make sure I haven't forgotten anything else. Oh, and you've also got the guitar solo, like the leads with like the guitar Strymon leads there with the reverb and delay and the chorus on them, and they shine and shimmer, and they have a wonderful presence as like an alternate to what Sue is doing in the gaps there, and the strings are hold notes, so they kind of linger and they float on. It's just a very pretty song. I know I've said that a lot, but it's the best way to describe it. We're trying to make it sound that way to interest someone into taking better care of the environment at least. So thank you to Jacob for putting that track through. I feel like everyone had a great time with it. I don't know what I'd do to improve it. It's great. It's awesome. It's just nice to listen to musicians who really enjoy what they do. You just can't take for granted that you can't take for granted that, like, when you know someone that they'll consistently put out good material. But Sue's work, Su Ying's work has just typically been of really good quality. And if this is progress they've made, then I feel like it's progress in the right direction. And it'll be really cool to see what they say or do next. So yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to check out more of their work. It's really cool. Where were we up to before? I don't particularly want to look more at the Billy Ray Cyrus thing, because I feel like we understand the concept there. It's just more to sort of understand. Oh, Kai Sinet says there's a 90% chance he'll be streaming with Yi during Japan trip. That's wild. Oh, okay. Cyrus filed for divorce on May 22, citing irreconcilable differences in inappropriate marital conduct 7 months after the couple married. On June 13th, Cyrus requested an emergency motion accusing Fire Rose of making nearly $100,000 in unauthorized fraudulent credit card charges while seeking a temporary restraining order to stop her, though her attorney said the accusations were untrue. So it's just a very messy public divorce. That's sad. A timeline of abuse allegations against Marilyn Manson. Oh, way back from 1988, Manson's autobiography features a number of anecdotes which Chicago reader Tim Jim DeRogatis called out at the time for generally mistreating one or more women per page. One or more women per page. What is this? Manson recalled a deaf fan who got covered in raw meat and had sex with a number of band members before getting urinated on by Manson. And that's so gross. Oh, and Trent Reznor was apparently involved as well. Ugh. Manson was charged with assaulting security guard Joshua Kiesler after he allegedly spit on the man's head and rubbed his G-string-clad genital area on it during a concert at the DT Energy Music Theater in Clarkston, Michigan. He was accused of felony 4th-degree criminal sexual conduct along with misdemeanor assault and battery. He didn't even deny that. He paid $4,000. He didn't deny it. Okay, moving on. I would like to check out more of that, I think. That's just fascinating. It's good to learn more about this. But the next track we have is from Joy and Joe. Thank you, Joy and Joe. Let's check out what Joy and Joe has put through. What do we have? This is Indian folk metal by Bloodywood G Very featuring Raoul Kerr. This is good. I feel like there should be more Indian metal. I have heard a bit of this band, I think, but I'm keen to hear better, so let's do it. Thank you to Joy and Joe for the request. It's produced really well. It's like the combination of the Indian folk instruments, like the hand percussion and potentially the flutes, but also the kind of plucked instruments. And then you combine it with these 8 strings, these 7 or 8 strings. It's just a fantastic idea. Great use to transfer to double time. Beautiful way to come down from that. Yeah, no, they've earned the double. This is an absolute banger. Absolute banger. What are they going to do to shake it up at this point, though? Beautiful way to finish it.
Hi guys, thank you so much for watching that video. G Veere is a song about fighting depression and mental illness. We've personally lost family and friends over several forms of mental illness, and the fault lies partly in us because we fail to realize that these are actual diseases. They're not just states of mind or something like that. So our patrons and us decided to do something beyond just sing about it. So we went ahead and we've bought 60 one-on-one counseling sessions with professional counselors for anyone who wants to reach out. These are one-on-one, 1 hour sessions on video or chat, whatever you would prefer. It's completely anonymous. So if any of you or anyone you know is going through any kind of problem, whether it be work, family, relationship, studies, career, whatever it is, just check the descriptions. There's a coupon below. You can head over to hopenetwork.in and get a free 1 hour session. This is not sponsored by them. We've bought these sessions for you. Huge shout out to Prachi Vash from hopenetwork.in for believing in what we want to do and becoming a part of it. She's an amazing person and an amazing counselor. And to our patrons, guys, I know we've been planning this for a couple of months. It took a lot of time, but here we are. We did it. Hope you guys like the song. Another announcement, Bloodywood endorses more. All guitar tones from this video were using more equipment. You'll get more news from us about this in a bit. I've had a long day and these guys are skipping stones on the river. Very tempting. I'm gonna join them. See you guys next time. Bye bye.
That's so cool, man. I'm sorry, that was a bit of a longer video. I think, to be fair though, it was 5 minutes before the message. So that's phenomenal. Just want to comment quickly on what they're sort of like, because we've got to review another track after this. I know I've got another one after this, but just the fact they're trying to help people who are going through a terrible time is something that no one expected of Bloodywood with this song G Veere featuring Raoul Kerr, but they did it. And that's, they're actually doing stuff about it. And that is awesome. And I'm thankful that they did that. And, you know, they're an amazing band. Thank you to Joy and Joe for recommending them. It's great to hear more of their music. What do I think this track is about? Well, I think I discussed it. It's about people going through depression and mental illness and getting up to fight and not letting yourself sort of be destroyed by the darkness. You know, not letting yourself be crippled by it. And I think that there's something kind of beautiful about that, because as someone who has gone through stuff like that, it's just so refreshing to hear someone be like, not to get over it, but for someone to be like, no, you can do this. You can get up. You can get through this. You can keep fighting. And I feel like a lot of people who listen to this will benefit from it. And it's just fantastic music, partially for that reason alone. But also the mixture of the sung parts and the rapping and the verses is just awesome, because it's just very easy way to sort of add a sense of diversity within a composition to keep things sounding fresh on the mic. They had different vocal textures and timbres. The flow worked well with some of the skipped parts of the percussion and sort of hand drums that they had through like the verse parts and low key bits. And they brought the full drum kit in at some parts, that which I appreciate. But they also had the handheld percussion and had some more sort of traditional elements that sort of grounded it a little bit and really did add to that folk metal aesthetic that they're going for. I think that the use of the lower, sort of heavier chords almost sort of amps you up and makes you feel like you're ready to go punch a wall to pieces. There's a lot of passion behind that, and I appreciate that they're trying to do something really special here by doing that. I think as well, what they've managed to accomplish with this track is, again, that fusion of the more traditional elements that isn't always possible in this, but I feel like because they're going for, again, that Indian folk metal thing, it's like, hey, this is a new type of metal. Because of these different types of instruments they're using, it has a different sound. And just from like an actual marketing perspective, they're doing incredibly well. I'm sure there's other Indian metal bands, but combining that sort of like heaviness with a really meaningful message that's meant to lift people up is just really special. So I think that's really, really clever as well. The actual performance on the guitars was like really supportive. It was nice. Heavy, but like not too overcomplicated. The sort of the flute, the woodwind solo that we had was incredibly articulate, and I like the fact we had its own separate solo section for that. That was really cool. The use of what was going on? The use of the different percussions had allowed for different sounds for each part, which distinguished them and made them more interesting because of the variety tonally as well. It was nice to go from like normal to double time, like in the build as well. They just for a bit of a speed there, and they kind of bring it back down and sort of add that heaviness to it. And just when there's more to it, but it's just you combine all these different elements, and it's just quite a unique track there that coupled again with that message, and with the vocals being the focal point aside from that solo section on the flutes. It's a piece that is in your face, and it's weirdly upbeat, but it's also kind sounding, and there's no real harsh edges to it. It's not trying to be affronting. It's trying to sort of inspire you to keep going. And I think the studio production, recording, mixing, and mastering, to be able to get those different textures and timbres together smoothly in a piece, to notch them that well within the frequency spectrum and the stereo field, and for things to go in and out, just the little touches with the wideness of the width there. It's really cool. The different vocal styles meshed well, and really well recorded. I'm really happy I've heard it. Thank you to Joy and Joe for putting this through. It's a fantastic track. I will like it. I don't usually like stuff that I watch. Like, I don't actively press the like button, but I will on this because I think that they're really cool. And honestly, I actually am going to subscribe to them because I want to maybe check out more of their stuff in future. And like legitimately, I'd like to check them out in future. They do. You're absolutely right, Joy and Joe. They do that incredibly well. They're all solid. The stuff I've heard from them in the past has been very, very good. I have no complaints at all about the way they perform or what they're doing. It's incredibly competent. We have the next track, though, from Chromino. I mean, I can't guarantee I'll understand the language of an album particularly well because I'm not familiar with it. But even if I can just review it from an actual review perspective, I think that'd be great. So let's do it. What do we have? We have a track from Chromino. And what has Chromino got for us today? This is called Electric Shura. Pop Never Dies. So let's do it. Let's go. Thank you for the request, Chromino. Appreciate it. Been some good songs so far. Oh, right. It's not opening on Spotify properly. There we go. It's loud now. So this is just released. January 22nd, 2025.
3時間抜けた新宿久しぶりだねと声かけられる教室の真ん中で私を笑い物にしたあの子たちだ私は少し笑ってごめん酔ってるからまた今度さっき飲んでたレモンサワーのグラスを投げつける夢を見る随分時間が経った歌うのも久しぶりです
Oh, great development there with the guitar and bass.
そんな自分が嫌いになったあの頃アンプに刺したジャックが今も胸から抜けませんそれを誰かが青春と呼び私は自分自身を呪った
Chromano. Oh, they are a band.
変わり
Yeah.
果てでも私何にも変わらないよって君と指切りした時見た景色すらもぼやけ始めている足は震えちゃいないが怖いくらいに胸があったかなって0点ショータイムが夢中明日有給取ってるしこの夜は私のもんねエレクトリックシュラシュラかき鳴らしてよほらあいつらの声塗りつぶせ昔の私が見てた想像通りの未来にはならないみたいだけれどエレクトリックシュラシュラ私ここにいます道行く人が耳を塞げ偉そうねお月様見下ろしたこの街はどんだけ汚れて
Sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna try not to interrupt too much. Is that like a use of a vocal synth or something like that? There's like an interesting tone to it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Hatsune Miku stuff. I know there's some raw vocals in there, don't get me wrong. But it's just interesting how that's been treated. Great use of filtering to bring it down after that intensity before. It's just a great trade-off to that. It's a great trade-off to that little cute little synth on top of the lead. So that was this was from Pop Never Dies with the track Electric Shura. Thank you to Chromano for this request. I do appreciate being able to listen to it. This song is fascinating to me, primarily because what it's doing really neatly is it is putting so much in to appreciate all these little intricacies and nuance and these little busy parts that are niching really wonderfully with each other in a way that is kind of mind-blowing. So I'm not sure what the track is about, but vocally they've got a really distinct, interesting sort of tone of voice there where almost it kind of tricked me a little bit because I'm not sure how they're really treating that voice, like how they're handling it in the sense that I hear this and I go, it sounds like it's being filtered. Like there's kind of a weird kind of quirkiness to it. But I also feel like if that is just the way that they sing in that range, or if they're deliberately producing that expression like on purpose, then I suppose at the worst I'm being rude, and I apologize for that. It's just a really unique voice. So I think that coupled with solid vocal technique and some interesting ideas in regards to how the melodies that we were going to harmonize with the rest of the arrangement. What do we have? We have a song that is primarily made up of the sort of lead synths, the keys, the bass, guitar, and drums, both sort of like cleaner and more distorted elements, such as the guitar solo at the end, which is just a fantastic. The guitar solo at the end was just a fantastic trade-off after that final chorus. But what I appreciate partly is how sophisticated the piano lines were. Like the way that we kind of went up and down those chords and elaborated, and there was some extensions and some sort of chromatic modulus, just bow, 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 bow. And it was just really fun. It was a bouncy track there with some interesting percussive ideas as well, with the offbeat hi-hats on some parts with quarter note grooves. Other times we were just kind of dancing along with the quarter note accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whilst the piano kind of it put itself in a 16th note pattern alongside it. And what I've just realized, a lot of the stuff that comes from Japan nowadays, a lot of the bands that do some of the busier stuff, it often is like a contrast between allowing this kind of quarter note accent for the danceability of it, but then you put these 16th note patterns on like the guitar or the keys, and it's just that kind of contrast rhythmically that keeps it sounding fancy and kind of like exciting, even when quarter note rhythms are just so common. It leaves it sounding fresh, I think, for that part alone. It's also just the fact that the guitar is so articulate with its various hammer-ons, pull-offs, the kind of sizzle to the tone of it, the way it sort of wraps itself around what the piano is doing. And then you have that bass line at the bottom, and it's just funky as hell, man. And that bass line is thumping away. There's some slap going on and stuff like that. And it impresses me that it seems like these are a two-piece. They seem like they're a two-piece band, and that's not a common thing. That seems like quite a rare thing. You know. I adore that they are able to put this much in a way that doesn't overcomplicate or oversaturate it. Again, they do ride the fine line of having quite a lot without going overboard to an extent. And I adore that. I think continuing on from that, what I appreciate about this song is not just that it's busy and that it's played well and that there's a lot of exciting stuff going on with the keys, guitar, bass, and drums, but it's also just that the theme is so breezy and airy, and it doesn't really commit to anything, but it's just fun. It's just fun. It's a fun song to listen to for a person who doesn't understand the story. And again, it's the bounce of the chord note accents combined with the way that the vocals are very kind of soft, or they're colorful and they move around. There's a zip and a zam to it and a bit of zazz. And you come to the track at the end there with all this kind of complexity harmonically, but with a clear path forward compositionally, and as a listener, you just have really solid studio production where the recording, mixing, mastering, and everything is heard well, neatly in the mix. There is parts where they filter the track. Like they filtered the track near the end there after that sort of midsection, and you come down and all the highs are removed. It's just mids and lows. And you're kind of left to wonder where you're going to go next with it. And then boom, they come back up. It's not unpredictable, but it just plays with expectations, and it kind of knows we're getting close. And it's like, nah, can't have it now. Have it later. And then it kind of pushes and pulls you in a way that's kind of pleasant. But it's really fun. I hope they get a lot more attention. I think that nearly 10K lessons is a good start. I hope they get more. But they deserve it. Commercial grade studio production, incredibly well played. And yeah, thank you to Cromino for that request of this track from an act named Pop Never Dies, titled Electric Shura. So that was cool. Really cool. Do we have anyone else to do? We do. We have another one from Cromino. What does Cromino have for us? Oh, no, that is the one. We've done the Cromino one. So those are requests for today. Does that mean we've done all the requests? That's okay. That's good. So if that's our requests today, we've done the music news. So I don't know what else we've got to do. I think we might just have an early afternoon. Hello, Andreas. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well. Yes, Andreas, you're more than welcome to request a track. Totally fine. How have you been? Is stuff going okay with your family? Hopefully your family's doing well. It's been a while. Oh, I just got rid of Kofi. That's not good. There we go. We'll continue the music news just while we wait. Oh, right. I was reading about the Marilyn Manson assault charges. I forgot about that. Honestly, listening to music is probably far more pleasant than this. I also don't know if I can talk about this stuff in a YouTube live stream. Granted, these are not for kids. Clearly, they're not. I put 18 years or older, I think, is a condition on these, which is potentially part of the reason why there's less views on the video. Following the death of actress Jennifer Syme, her mother Mary St. John sued Manson for wrongful death, alleging that he gave her drugs and encouraged her to drive while inebriated. On his website, Manson shared a statement calling the accusations completely false. Okay, so this lawsuit, which is completely without merit, will not bring back Jennifer's life. It serves only to reopen the wounds and the pain felt by all who love Jennifer. It is a pity that St. John sullies her own daughter's reputation by filing this baseless claim. That's a bit of a backhanded slap in the face. They could have just said it was false. They didn't need to go for the throat, did they? That seems like it was a personal thing for them. Though I suppose, to be fair, when you do accuse someone of causing your daughter's death, it's some pretty strong words from both parties, but terrible situation regardless. Following his first breakup from Wood in 2007, Manson revealed to Spin in an extensive Q&A that he severely self-harmed following their split. He also shared violent thoughts about the 22-year-old Wood and how his song, I Want to Kill You Like They Do in the Movies, is about the fantasies he had every day about smashing her skull in with a sledgehammer. That's nuts, dude. That's insane. That is wild, dude. What is he up to? That's bananas. That's bananas. Violent threats against music journalists. In response to media scrutiny, Manson reportedly threatened music journalists in a since-deleted blog post. I am far different than the soon-to-be murdered in their homes. Press has decided to fabricate. Soon to be murdered in their home, press has decided to fabricate. If one more journalist makes a cavalier statement about me and my band, I will personally, or with my fans' help, greet them at their home and discover just how much they believe in their freedom of speech. He's insane. Marilyn Manson is nuts, dude. He is insane, dude. What is he doing? I'm glad you're doing good, Andres. I'm glad you're doing good, Andres. I'm doing okay. Oh, we're trying to buy a house at the moment, and we're just getting the final things done for it. And it's just, hopefully, once we're past this week, we should be done with this, and we can just move forward. You know, it's just getting stuff finished off. We're going to listen through Andreas's track now that they've sent through. What does Andreas have for us today? It is cruel. And I would say that Marilyn Manson, Joy and Joe, was probably on something. Don't know what. But it just doesn't make sense to be that hostile, you know. unless it's that they're just not aware of what can happen when you incentivize people to do that. You gotta be careful. And you know the first thing, just before I go, you know the first thing Marilyn Manson will say if one of his fans did do something is, I'm not responsible for their behavior. You know, he'll say, oh, I didn't tell them to do it. It's silliness. So this track from Andreas is titled Easy Lucky Free by Bright Eyes. Let's do it. Let's go, man. There are lyrics as well. Really interesting panning of the drums.
Refrigerators full of blood, another century spent pointing guns at anything that moves. Sometimes I worry that I've lost the plot, my twitching muscles tease my flipping thoughts. I never really dreamed of heaven much until we put him in the ground. But it's all I'm doing now, listening for patterns in the sound of an endless static sea. But once the satellite's deceased, it blows like garbage through the streets of the night sky to infinity.
Really fascinating poetry so far.
Don't you weep, don't you weep. There's nothing as lucky, honey, don't you weep, don't you weep. There's nothing as lucky, as easy or free.
Why is there screaming? What I will say, it's fascinating to have that screaming sampled like that, and to go backwards and forwards between the two sides of the stereo field is really interesting. It juxtaposes a lot of the really beautiful synth pads. Hello, Zach. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you're well.
Shop and eat and procreate. You got vacation days, then you might escape to a condo on the coast. I set my watch to the atomic clock. I hear the crowd count down till the bomb gets dropped. I always figured there'd be time enough. I never let it get me down, but I can't help it now. Looking for faces in the clouds. I got some friends I barely see, but we're all planning to meet. We're laying bags as dead as leaves, all together for eternity. But don't you weep, don't you weep. There's no one as lucky, honey, don't you weep, don't you weep. There's nothing as lucky, as easy or free.
So, Andreas, how do you interpret this piece? Like, what would you say that the song is about? Oh, and we're doing some repeaters. Like marching drums, you know? That's quite a lot. That is quite a lot to take in at the end. I think it's about humanity and their wars and such. I think I would say that. I think basically it's about, like, did it all get real? I guess it's real enough. They got refrigerators full of blood. Another century spent pointing guns at anything that moves. Did this come out in the early 2000s? It did come out in the early 2000s. It absolutely is talking about war. I think this track is talking about the primarily like the disappointment and the apathy we have towards not having learned from the mistakes of like the 20th century, and how it just all seems like we're just going to continue to do the same stupidity again, probably inevitably for the same or similar reasons. There is a kindness in the way that the singer expresses themselves, but it is betrayed by the screams that you have after that first chorus, where you think, oh, this is kind of peaceful, we're kind of coming to terms with it, and then there's just screams. And what I appreciate about the screams is I think it almost tries to make the screams part of the music, almost to kind of insinuate that as human beings, for us, death is just a normal thing. And that it just happens and it's part of life and it's just normal for people to die and scream and be miserable. And that partly because of how the screaming becomes kind of like part of the song, if that makes sense. If it becomes normal, then people are just desensitized to it. So I feel like that's a fascinating take. That's a fascinating take. And I feel like it's sung well. We have some like vocoded vocals on the sides, almost like they're very peaceful, almost synthetic, like maybe technology is trying to tell us to relax. And so we have that call and response in the chorus, which is really fascinating. The constant dun 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 dun, the kind of constant march of time moving on is really fascinating. It's like the drums are kind of stereo panned and they go backwards and forwards. And I don't really come across drums that sound like that very often. It absolutely makes, I think it would have been less interesting if you had not had it. And it's actually a really kind of cool production concept that I think could be definitely done more often in a way that I feel like could benefit a lot of tracks, you know? Almost like the back and forth between people when they have those. It's just, it's eloquent with the poetry and the lyrics and the expression there. There's a sweetness with the guitar takes and the arpeggios and some of the slid or slide guitar bits as well. How they kind of glide backwards and forwards. The bass just pulsates and moves forward at a consistent pace, and that reinforces the roots.
But don't you weep. Don't you weep. I watch to thee.
But like there's also parts near the end where the song starts to fall apart at the seams. And you get the impression that we were maybe holding it together to sort of explain our position for the first 4.5 minutes. And as we come to that realization, the track kind of upends itself, starts, and begins to fall apart, almost like hoping it will be different was a waste of time. It's incredible. I adore this track to pieces. I think that sweetness, again, it kind of betrays what's going on with the intensity of the message, but I feel like that's just a smart way to write a song. You know, like, why would you not try and sort of like, why would you not have that contrast? Like, if it's too gritty and grim, it might be too much for a lot of listeners. And it also teaches you to really sort of actively listen to stuff so that you can get the full context. So I think production-wise, again, the stereo panning of stuff going backwards and forwards is fantastic. I think the clarity of the vocals within the mix as well was really good. They were well recorded. And just, again, the way the guitars, bass, slides, and the different synth pads and other elements that just came in, as well as the processing of stuff near the end, to make it kind of choppy and stop-start on different bits. It's just really well done. Even in the mid-2000s, it was not as it's not as easy, should I say, to be able to do this stuff as it is now. And I don't know how big these, I mean, they've got a fair few million plays on their tracks, but it wasn't as easy to make this happen at that point. I'm really impressed at their quality here. What they've managed to accomplish here is really special. So thank you to Andreas for putting this track forward. It's a really simple bass line, but it's all the different. This is basically how it's sung, the words from that, the tonal choices, the synths, the kind of fuzzy synths without getting too much. Lowers the dynamic range when things get quiet and when there's a pause, almost like you're taking a leap, and then boom, back into it. Very good. So thank you for that, Andreas. I really enjoyed that track. Even though it was a sad one, again, you can kind of see a lot of those parallels repeated nowadays. You know, again, I'm not going to get into the politics of it. The world is a bit tricky at the moment. There's some pretty kind of wild stuff going on, whatever side of the fence you're on. And I feel like people will probably be making songs like this. People will probably be making songs like this in the 2100s as well. Hopefully not. Hopefully not, but we will see. Well, I won't. None of us will. None of us will be, unless, of course, you were born, unless you live to 100. Well, hopefully you'll live to 100 and you're happy and healthy and have, like, cyborg arms and, like, biotics and stuff like that. And hopefully you'll, are doing well at that point. But anyways, without getting depressing on it, thank you, Andreas, for your request. Really appreciate it being to listen along to that. What we got next? That is Andreas's one, I think. Yep, that's been done. So if we go back, who is next? We have one from Zach. Yes, you do, Zach. Don't worry, Zach. Don't worry, Zach. We absolutely, we have the queue in front. We will get your track sorted now. There we go. Thanks for your request. The Roman Salute. The Roman Salute. Oh, no. Yeah, no. Yeah, I know about what Elon did. Elon was a naughty man. Elon was a naughty man. He needed to maybe just not do that. He could have just not. He could, even if he was like, whatever. Even if he was like, whatever, he just didn't need to. He just doesn't give a fuck. That, or he just doesn't think he's touchable. I just, like, whatever side you're on, why, man? You didn't need to do that. You just don't need to do that. It's just silly behavior. He has had that power for he has had that position in the White House for that amount of time, and immediately he goes full. He just goes for it. He just is no chill. Again, I'm underplaying and not to get too heavy on it, but well, just my lord. Yeah, 2 times, exactly. Thank you, by the way, to Zach. I've put through this track. This track is titled Ferris Wheel on Fire by Neutral Milk Hotel. And Sup Katana is key. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully you've been taking care of yourself. Yeah, I think it should have been 0 times, but Elon will be Elon. Again, not justifying it. He's just done it.
Well, now, first of all, we became.
Thank you for the Zach.
Always had fear. Every engine holds all their oils on fire appear.
You'll be pleased to know that I remembered. I had a feeling I knew who it was.
They finally broke through and on your shoulder. This weight has been placed upon you, and everything we ever.
This is incredibly heavy, isn't it? Incredible.
Buildings fall. Watch as each sweet resistance caves in. All over you, all in clover. And now finally fading from view is everything we ever
You know, that was just a really well told story. So that was Ferris Wheel on Fire from Neutral Milk Hotel. I should note here from Zach. Hey, got another request from the 90s. A really cool band I've loved for a long time. The lead singer Jeff Mangum has a really unique voice that can be somewhat off-putting, but it adds lots of character to the tracks for me, along with some of the best songwriting I've listened to. I would agree with that. I think that his voice, I liked his voice. I did like his voice. I think it had a really interesting sort of folkish. It was like conversational. We weren't trying to over decorate the performance there. Yeah, the busker energy is a really good way of approaching it, I think. Absolutely busker energy for sure. The lyrics are fascinating. I almost feel like this is maybe commenting on people wanting the train wreck to continue and almost like we're cheering on our own demise, if that makes sense. And it's almost like people, even if stuff falls apart, will still think that they are the ones who'll be able to get away from it and won't be affected by it. Yeah, absolutely campfire voice. Yeah, it's absolutely campfire voice. I think that's assisted. Just that kind of like that melody where we kind of modulate between the two and go backwards and forwards. It's catchy and it mirrors some of the ideas we had with the verses and parts before it in a through composed piece. The guitar is a fantastic accompaniment. It's just open chords, maybe some bar chords. It's very raw. It's not overcomplicated. You know. It's like the same kind of... It's almost like someone telling the story after it occurred. If that makes sense. Someone speaking of the time where that Ferris wheel went down the hill. And I appreciate how down to earth and how that's actually art. Like art. It's actually art, you know, like it's really homely and warm sounding. The production isn't overcomplicated. They've simply got a man with the guitar and they're playing together. And you can imagine being in the same room as them and hearing it. It's just really flavorful. But I don't think you could have added anything to it to make it more interesting. Through a composed piece like this, you go on a journey, you go on an adventure with it. It's a really interesting situation where less is more. And yeah, again, the focal point was the storytelling. That was compelling, so I think that's all you needed. It really is a lesson, I think, in having just enough to be able to make it special. And Neutral Milk Hotel with Ferris Wheel on Fire did incredibly well. Thank you to Zach for sharing this. It's great. I wouldn't mind hearing more of it. I think they're a really special band, and I'm glad I had the chance to hear them today. And it is very 90s. It is very 90s, but I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Honestly, it could have come from the 70s or 80s or anything like that, you know. We got another track, though, after that. And my song submission this week isn't super, but it has interesting design, which you probably will appreciate. And you're welcome, Zach. I'm glad you caught it too. I don't really get a chance to listen to music outside of a lot of the review work I do, just because otherwise I'm either, you know, like teaching or playing video games or sleepings. If I could go, because this is from Joy and Joe, the next one. Thank you to Zach for the previous one. If I could go redo my life, I would go into guitar instead of piano. So nice to just sit and play and sing. Yeah, it is. I think if you have a nice voice, you're sorted. You can do so much. People will sit down for you and spend time with you and hear you sing. And you sit. But also, it's just, as you said, it's nice. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm a music teacher. I work with around 50 to 60 students per week. That's like private one-on-one tuition for various stuff. I've been doing it for around 14 years or so. So yeah, actually, it's going to be probably it's 14 this year. So doing 14 years. But this is from Joy and Joe, titled No Party for Xiaodong Wayfarer. Let's go. Apparently the music starts at 1. We can just, we'll skip to 10. There we go. So we'll get our 5 minutes from this point. It's all good, man. This will probably give us context. You're all good, mate. Your request came through. You're all good. Your request, there's just a few tracks. Oh, I like those reverse takes. It should also be noted that I do like this band. I've heard them before, so I'm looking forward to this. Thank you. The subtitles are in English. The drums are incredible for sure. There's so many cool things happening. Great transition back to the guitars here. Oh, wait a minute. So, like, am I supposed to interpret this as literally... Am I supposed to literally interpret this as he shot the person or killed the person who he had that initial reaction with, and he's having to sort of deal with the damage that he's done? Is this him, like, trying to get rid of the memories that he used to have, coming to terms with the fact that he's a different person now and trying to remove what used to be? I'm not sure how to take this. I feel like that's the kind of translation of it given from the video, but also talking about how they've got no answer, you know. Damn. It's horrific though. Like it's yeah, I think it is. But I also feel like the story itself, it's discussing how they've made these decisions. They go back to the forest. They try and find peace, but they can't ever find peace because there's no answer for what they've done. Trying to find a way of resolution or to sort of work around the mistakes we've made, but you just can't. They just are, they are. They're what they are, and you have to deal with what you've done. That's the traveler coming to terms with their mistakes, going backwards between. It's just brutal, dude. But it's such cool. It's such a cool song, and I feel like part of what works so well within this track is the fact that you've got those really soft, soothing vocals in the verse, talking about going back to the mountain, thinking, okay, if we try this again, maybe it'll work. And then, boom, they cry out in that chorus section. It's so much bigger. It slaps you in the face. It punches you. It says, no, we don't have an answer. We can't do this. We can't figure it out. And it's so brutal. Again, like Katana SQ was talking about cool things by dynamics and not overdoing. 1000%. It's this lull and changes in energies that connects the lyrics and the vocals to the rest of the track compositionally and performatively. Fantastic. There's a lot of sweetness to a lot of the really neat, clean guitar ideas there. A little slidey, little hammer-on pull-off bits there that work around major minor triads and some extensions and stuff like that. You know. And there's like a lead on one side, and then there's another sort of like picked guitar on the other. They're asymmetrical. That just makes it more interesting. It's just less predictable. You know, it's really, really good. And you've got this like wonderful distortion there, this kind of fuzz, this like aggression there. That's not full on metal, you know. It's not full on metal, but it's trying to sort of implicate a sense of frustration and anger at it. That's why the video gets darker and red. The blood. It's brutal, dude. And I appreciate the fact that we go away from the vocals and we have the sense of like kind of funkiness with the lead part that kind of softens some of the sudden intensity of like the vocals and the build, almost to play it off like things are actually going to be okay, but they aren't. Like it navigates modally and scale wise really neatly within the piece there, with the bass line moving around, exploring the scales and modes around the fretboard, and the drums mixture of the main four rhythms of music, quarters, eighths, triplets, and sixteenths, are incredibly well handled. We explore even 30 seconds in some parts. There's lots of different offbeat patterns there and fun stuff with the kick and snares, but it's also knowing when to have less. It's great to have less, and we know how to again adjust not only the loudness of it in dynamic range, but it's also how much of it. How much of it? Like, do we slow down things here? Do we add a slower rhythm here? It's just... And you can hear here that without the intense vocals here, we've got... But we've got a dance groove, partially because we're allowing there to be lesser... Like, there's movement. We're trying a different direction here. We're trying to adjust this in a separate way. But then we come back to it near the end, don't we? Yeah, we come back to it. It's like, so we're like trying different ways or pathways to the mountain, but we come back to the same result. It's an incredible piece. Again, like, it's difficult to sort of go through the different drum beats and grooves and patterns and what they're doing individually, because I understand there's a lot going on there. I'm a drummer myself. I can hear what they're doing. It's ridiculous. But it's just so stunning how they managed to get that all in there in a way that made musical sense. It's difficult, again, to be able to fit that in and not overpower it. And it did. Thematically, I think the A-B side, the smoother, more kind of... I mean, like, there were extensions and dominance, like, sort of uncomfortable extensions in those sort of distorted parts in the chorus. But the tone of it was more aggressive. So you got the kind of softer and some more heavy elements there, and the constant shift between those, the uncertainty there. Thematically is more the approach to what we're going for in regards to the lyrics and the story. I think they match well, and the studio recording, mixing, and mastering as well is fantastic. You know, no complaints whatsoever on that front. Very satisfying. Incredibly competent band with great chemistry between the members, and a really well told story. That seems real and authentic. They're fantastic. It's just fantastic. So thank you to Joy and Joe for putting us forward. And thank you to Katana is key for putting these through. Highlight a sense of failure and inability to meet the expectations of his past self. Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that might be about it as well. Great to listen your interpretation of the song. Always get to appreciate songs more with your reviews. Hey, thank you for sending them through. This is legitimately the one main reason why I do these. It's to sort of talk about the songs and to understand them. And if me picking them apart helps you to understand them better as well, then I feel like that's just a mutually beneficial thing, right? It's really good practice for me as well, because, like, you know, it keeps you... It's good practice. I feel like if you're watching this and you are interested in, like, learning music or how to work or how to make it, it's really good to be able to kind of just start trying to pick away at it and trying to go, oh, I wonder why he's doing that or why they're doing that. To ask these questions and to try to understand it better. Yeah, I think it's definitely up there. I don't know what they could have done differently. There are some songs from Zhang Yuxing that I feel like are like 10s. They're like 10s, and they just didn't hit the way they did. Like, but like I feel like at the same time, this is technically a 10 because I don't understand a single thing they could have done to improve it. So there you go. I enjoyed my time with it. Yeah. Zhang Yuxing, by the way, is one of my favorite musicians. They've done songs like River or Ocean, I think it was. Songs like that are just, they were game-changing for me. Game-changing. It's part of what, like, just, but I just think although I'm not producing music, learning and understanding what's happening in songs simply help me enjoy them more. Well, feel free to come in and feel free to send stuff through if you'd like me to help talk about more of them. Or alternatively, feel free to hang around if you want to hear me talk about others. Either way, it's good to check out the music you send through, and thank you for doing so. Glad to be able to help. It's good times. It's good times. And this is an amazing song. It is absolutely Wayfarer. It's really well done. The next track is from Katana and Protector. And what does Katana and Protector have for us today? Yeah. We have try this out for size and hopefully having a lovely evening. I think I'm having a good evening. Are you guys having a good evening? Hopefully you are. What do we got here from Katana? Katana and Protector. This track is titled Club Bomb. Now, this is an original. I've listened to a fair bit of Katana's work at this point, Katana and Protector's work, and I do enjoy my time with it. Let's do it. That bass response is sublime, dude. The side riser is nice.
I had always been fascinated by how some women could cross the line between who they were and who they would let themselves become.
Interesting. That is interesting, actually. I'm liking the darkness in there with those minor melodies, dude. And the fluffiness of those trance leads.
I had always been fascinated by how some women could cross the line between who they were and who they would let themselves become.
This is indeed a twist. main stage? It's just the width of it. It's just the width of it, you know. Okay, it's having trouble with width. Okay, so that's really positive. So that was Club Bomb by Katana and Protector. What was the quote that they had?
Women could cross the line between who they were and who they would let themselves become.
Who they were and, you know, who they would let themselves become. So that there, honestly, like, it's almost like through the track we're going to a different version of ourselves or a different version of the song. You think, oh, that's who they are. Oh, they're someone new now. Oh, this is a different transition. And that... it is a fun little thing, and I feel like part of the reason I appreciate this is, as I'm sure you can imagine, when you're DJing, you need to be able to be flexible depending on the kind of genre that you're mixing. So to be able to hello, was that good? Can you still see me? I think I had a moment there. Oh, what? Encoder overloaded. Why? Why was there encoder overloaded? Okay. Well, hopefully that's okay. I think we're okay now. So I think part of why this track worked really well is because it was minimal with the lyrics and it kind of just wanted you to enjoy the music. It was really well produced. You could hear each of the different bass, sort of synth lead layers, the pads, the sequences. Exactly, David. Nice stereo effects. There was some nice stereo effects. There was a phenomenal amount of width to it. When you listen through headphones, stuff is constantly going around the headphones, and part of that is because you have certain instruments only appear on one or the other side. So, wow, a brrr, you know, like there's these different sounds that show you and illustrate, hey, this is huge. And it's also that, like, the fundamentals of, like, EDM and electronic music production are covered. So for example, you have the sidechain kicks coming in. You have mixture of filters with like the snare parts building up and stuff like that, as well as some extended risers that you have, and those extended risers can go up, and then eventually back down. Eventually back down. But then by the time it's gone down, you're really digging. There's that tension there, and then boom, you smacked with a new drop, but it's a different style. And that's cool. So it's like almost like you could argue it's progressive. But I almost feel like that's a lot of the material we have here from Katana and Protector. A lot of it is very progressive, and I feel like it's a journey you're going on. I think that can be a blessing and a curse, because sometimes people want to have a similar experience at the start than at the end without too much adjustment. But I think that the way we write is solid enough, and it also sounds commercial grade in terms of the way things are mixed and mastered, leveled, notched in E, frequency spectrum, etc. That it does sound like it sounds commercial grade, and I don't really know how you could improve it. I think we're just playing with different toys at this point. I had a very advanced version of it and then made it minimal and stripped. Yeah, exactly. We kind of took away. I still feel like it was a fantastic performance. I don't know how you could fit a whole lot more into it. Was it just incredibly chaotic? Was there just a lot more going on? I love the trance stuff though. I think the change between the kick and so the bass and drum focus to those fluffy kind of synth leads and sequences and stuff like that are incredible. They're incredible. Ableton's good. Ableton is really good. I'm not surprised that you're like Ableton's very popular. Ableton's very popular for music production. So Ableton is very popular for music production, should I say? Yeah. I think there's a lot of modularity and functionality with the various hardware devices in it, and I also understand that a lot of the automation options are really good as well, which is good. So that's really cool, man. Yeah. I think that it just depends on the chapter you're going for. It's just really difficult for me to go, hey, this is a thing, because there's so much adjustment throughout. I just feel like the instrument choices were tops. You had there would have been lots of different little samples and tracks put in to sort of equivocate different bits, but we knew how to set up an arrangement for this sort of minute and then the next part after the next drop, etc. So they never felt too alien. And the transfers kept them tight. But like, to be fair, there is like it's not like we've got completely different concepts. It's just they either played on different instruments or they're put into different octaves. And yeah. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. Apparently it is a minimalist approach, which is still really impressive. It's still really impressive. And yeah. I think, yeah, we've talked about studio production. This is great. I think this was a successful track. Thank you to Katana for putting us through, Katana and Protector. And I just think, again, having the vocal part, that sample as a closing comment between the first and second bits was cool as well. You kind of get the iteration, the reinforcement of the idea of the fascination between what was and what will become. FL Studio, man. I have students that love to use FL Studio, dude. They love SL Studio. And some use Ableton as well. Yeah, Reaper is awesome, dude. I love Reaper because they have custom codes for all of the hardware that I use. Like custom coding for it and stuff like that. Like I've got like an X-Touch here, I've got launch keys and launch pads, and I've got like monologue synthesizers and all sorts of other things. And because Reaper has like coding to be able to get all these other sort of things to behave themselves, it's been a lot easier for me to get Reaper to behave with that versus like FL Studio and stuff like that. But I also know that FL Studio and Ableton are huge and stuff like that. So Reaper can do it. Lots of other ones can too. Just depends on what you want to accomplish and how the experience you want to have. It's just that Reaper doesn't come with a lot of stuff immediately. You've got to kind of get plugins for Reaper, but when you do, it's good. Okay, so that was Katana and Protector's track. It is. To be fair, I think that just out of respect for like Reaper, it can be good to just to pay for Reaper. I don't know. I mean, like, I know they made $1 billion from the sale of Winamp, but they're good people. They're good people. They don't do subscription packages like Avid and stuff like that, you know. This next track, though, thank you to Katana Protector for the previous one. This new one is from David. So David has this track here. David is sending through the song titled Ichiko Aoba with Porcelain. So that's cool. Let's check out this song. And we also have lyrics here. I might quickly check out the lyrics. Yeah. Porcelain. Okay, so this is good. It's not auto-opening in Spotify, which is a bit weird, but that's okay. So let's go, David. Let's do this. And Joy and Joe, I look forward to reviewing your songs when you make them. Are they using a double bass? That's really cool. That woodwind is really pretty. Yeah, you can hear the flanger, absolutely. There is a flanger. Specifically on the guitar, though, I think. Her voice is angelic and hypnotic. And those plucked strings make it sound incredibly magical. It's just like, can you hear how nuts that flute is? These little flutters and flurries now, and it's just, there's so much going on. You kind of get sucked into it, but then there's just all this other cool things. And those like bells at the end. That's a device I've used repeatedly at the end of some of these parts to transition to a new bit. But it's just so effective. It's just so glorious. So let's talk about Porcelain by Ichiko Aoba. Oh, hi Conrad Miller. Welcome to the live stream. Her voice is mimicking the flute. I'm not surprised by that, actually. That's a good point. So yeah, her voice is mimicking the flute. So there's like a kind of a call and response between those parts, I think. We'd probably assume that in certain bits, but also just The track Porcelain. I mean, like, it's not just that the track is gorgeous overall, but if you're supposed to kind of pick it apart a little bit, the floatiness, the softness of the performance there is beautiful like porcelain. There's a sweetness to it that almost sounds incredible. It's angelic. And these are like long legato, like held notes there that kind of soar over everything else and also coalesce really neatly with some of the string parts as well. So some parts we might be mimicking the float, and other parts we're mimicking the strings. You know, like we're going between those different things, and it's making it rather mysterious sounding. I do think there were some. I agree with that, David. It did seem like there were some key changes or relative major or minors or something like that going on. It's incredibly interesting track compositionally, with a waltz movement to it, with the triplet feel overall and some triplet 16ths. But it's just the use of the double bass to sort of ground it and add a bit of earthiness to it without a drum kit adding a sort of a mild sense of rhythm to it. Aside from the triplets of da 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 da, it could be 3/4. Yeah. It kind of, the reason I said the waltz is because of the triplet. But I'd say da 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 da. It's in 3/4 with like eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or maybe waltz is in 3/4 and I'm just tripping. Either way, waltz in 3/4. It has that rhythm to it. The guitar is working either like in triplets or like in 3/4 alongside with it, and so there's no polyrhythms there. With some really intriguing triads and arpeggios there as well. And little sparkly kind of like key parts there. And there's like these upper octave parts which like add a nice sort of shimmer and sheen to it as well. But when the strings come in, they really sweeten it and add a sense of romanticism to it. And like we keep a lot of these instruments throughout. We might have occasional points where it comes down a little bit, but once we've got our set ambience and environment created, we are sticking with that. The journey we have, if we understand the lyrics, is dancing with Ichiko Aoba throughout. And you're left just appreciating quite a complicated performance from like a theory perspective there with those chord choices. So it almost seems like we're falling down a little bit. Or almost falling through the music a little bit like an Alice in Wonderland kind of aesthetic. But yeah, the use of the woodwind to kind of either call and respond or just as another sort of like lead layer alternate to the vocals is just great as well. Because I feel like if you hadn't had that extra bit of resonance up there, it would have just been a little bit too dry sounding, even with everything else involved. Thematically, I think it's more just the idea of having that dance with Ichiko, hearing them out, you know, gliding through the piece. You can kind of imagine being in a room with like a band, like playing as Ichiko sings it. And it's kind of stunning. Does it resolve? It does kind of resolve with those pitched bells at the end there, and it kind of finishes in a way that sounds like some of the other transfers, but you know that's the last time we're going to have it. And the way it kind of cuts off after that point is you've had your dance and you have to get on with the rest of your life. So I think that it for like a track based on a waltz movement with the tones and textures we have within it, the instrument choices there, the flanger, as Katana mentioned, kind of looping as if the dance is just an iteration again and again, even if we do fall down. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering it's commercial grade. There's no issues with it whatsoever. The vocals, the guitar, the strings, the bells, the flutes, bass and drums. No drums. No drums, actually. I should be careful. There's no drums there. These are niched nicely in the frequency spectrum and stereo field. Hear everything clearly. There's dynamic range to it. A Celesta making the bell sounds. Now, what is a Celesta? You guys are teaching me stuff. What is a Celesta? Oh, it's a Celesta is a keyboard instrument. Now, that's cool. See, I didn't know what a Celesta is, but thank you for that, David. Thank you to both Conrad and David for helping me out with the flutes and the Celestas. The Celesta is a keyboard instrument that produces a soft bell-like sound. It's also known as a bell piano and is a member of the percussion instrument family. Thank you. I didn't know they existed. So that's cool. It is a Celesta. Not a solicitor, a Celesta. It doesn't know what a Celesta is. Anyways, that's great. So incredible track. Really beautiful experience with that. Thank you to David for putting this track forward. I now want to get a Celesta. Not a semester, a Celesta. Oh, we got it in the end. It figured out what Celesta was. That's great. Maybe it was context clues. I'm not sure. Now, what do we have next? We have here, make that window a bit smaller because it's a bit big on my side at the moment. I'm glad that you got back into it, Katana. Some people never do, and it's just a bit sad because they say they want to, but they never do. And then I just feel like they end up like just feeling like they're missing something, you know? So the fact that you're able to explore it more is really fantastic. That was cool though. Now we have one more song today. Now it is actually, this is the last track for today potentially. We'll see how we go, but it's from Andreas. So thank you to Andreas for sending this track through, as well as for David, the previous one. Let us see or hear what Andreas has for us next. Where did David go? So David's there. Yeah, Andreas is there. Cool. So we got, here we go. Track number 2 from Andreas for today. Thank you very much. What do we got? This will destroy you. Quiet. This, we'll let it play whilst I write this. You guys can hear it. Great use of stereo panning on that part on the left. That offbeat snare, the second one is kind of poignant. Is that a brass in the background? I mean, you expect the tremolo picking to be less subtle than it is. Have to admit, Andreas, I did miss the instrumentals. You've always had a penchant for finding stuff like this. To be fair, I do think we've listened to This That Will Destroy You in the past. So it's really interesting, just before we comment on the track there, how when you remove those delayed in parts there, the repeaters and everything like that, how they kind of like empty themselves out at the end there once everything's gone away. It helps to explain why the track sounds so massive when everything comes together, because it's just looping back on top of one another. But this track, as an instrumental, it starts kind of quietly. It becomes a lot more loud over time, but I feel like that's the point. It's a track that builds in stages. Now you can hear the feedback from some of those guitars. You can hear the feedback from some of those amps in the headphones, but it's not a problem, I think, in part because it sounds like a live performance. But it also creates a background noise there, which kind of sounds like there's a bit of static, but it almost like minimizes the piano that you hear with those chord progressions there that they play. And again, we have some like sort of like brass parts in the back there, which are very subtle there. The guitar arpeggiating, playing some sort of like clean lead parts on the side there. The drums with a relatively accessible beat there. It's not overly complicated, but again, just that offbeat snare. They got the ba, just kind of clicks a little bit. It's unexpected, but you notice it because of that. There's so much space, especially earlier on in this composition, that you don't. It's weird because you expect that there'll be something there, but then you don't. So. And as you go further into the piece, as I'm sure you guys heard, it goes from being that kind of midpoint where you've established a happy medium, and suddenly stuff kind of kicks you a little bit. It kind of gets on, and you get the tremolo pick guitar parts on the right side, and they made the most of the stereo field as well as the frequency spectrum with the bass stuff's niched into different sort of octaves. I think that's the best way to look at it. This track gives me peace. That is the specific feeling that I can relate to as well. It's a feeling where you just kind of, it's like it understands you. Maybe with a lack of words, you just kind of want to find yourself within it. That can be the power of an instrumental. I'm glad that you found the ones you have. Hopefully you do find some fantastic instrumental stuff in future, but it's just so cool that you found all this. I mean, arguably, I suppose it would depend on the era that the stuff is made. I think that there is a sense of wonderment to some of the instrumental parts from the 90s, the 2000s, arguably because of the disillusionment that people found. I haven't heard a lot of instrumental stuff from the 20. Well, no, actually, I lie. We probably have, but just the way this was recorded, just you could hear that they were all in the same room. And I'm not going on a boomer talk about needing to play your real instruments or whatever. It's just more that, like, you can hear that they're together, they're paying attention to each other, they're feeding off of the energy off of each other. It's a very human experience. At the very least, it gives you an understanding and concept of what they would be like if you went to see them live, which is kind of what I want from an album. I want the album to be at least half representative of seeing them live so that I know what I'm getting myself into. Just the raw nature of those guitar, there's extra kind of heavily distorted guitar parts in the later section after the tremolo picked. There's just more and more noise until there isn't. And it's almost like it goes in waves. And I'm not sure what the rest of this album is like, but if it's as instrumentally interesting without being overcomplicated as this one, I feel like this is going to be a really special album. Studio production wise, incredibly articulate in a way that they approach the actual mixing of stuff as well. They allow for things to not be overproduced. There are raw tones to the guitars, the bass and drums, etc. There's sub-layering as well for a bit of extra ambience there, and I don't need it to be super clean sounding, which adds a bit of, I suppose, reality to it, or realism, or both, honestly. And so, yeah, I don't think they needed words within this one. I think the music did communicate what it was trying to discuss well enough. That is more of a compliment than anything, arguably. It's difficult to do with their instrumentals, but they do that well. Yeah, honestly, like dynamic range for days. Easy to follow structure with great balance. And nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression limiting is handled. But that's basically my review of this track from an X named This Will Destroy You from Quiet. Thank you to Andreas for putting us through. It's a great time. So that was dope, man. Have we got any other requests? Nothing. That's okay. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to close the queue. I'm going to close the queue now. The queue is closed. This means that there are no more songs today. But I want to first of all thank you for putting through some tracks for us to listen through today. We have had tracks from Jacob Good, Droy and Joe, Cromino, Andreas, as well as Zach, Katana Protector, and David. Thank you to all of you who put through tracks through. It's been genuinely good to listen through it. I do believe that Quiet is probably my favorite track for today, although I have liked the others as well. There's just something kind of special about this. But also, if I look through this really quickly, I mean, I think that the No Party for Xiaodong song's pretty dope as well, and I do appreciate the Katana Protector track as an original as well. The Neutral Milk Hotel track was also pretty special. Oh, hang on. No. No, the Bloodywood track was my favorite. That was an amazing track. Again, they're all good. The point is, thank you very much for watching this live stream, my review of these tracks from all of you. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to the music, if not the reviews. And please go show these musicians and artists some love via the various social medias and their respective, the Spotifys or the YouTubes. And stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. I won't be here on Monday. I won't be here because I have to babysit a few things in regards to the house. I'll be physically where my studio is, but I won't be live streaming. I will be looking to hopefully be back on Thursday. So that'll be if you go to the Discord, the live streams are scheduled on the Discord, link in description, as well as the Spiderhands YouTube and also the Patreon if you want custom monthly music reviews. You have a good weekend too. Thank you very much. It was great to chat. Thank you for talking. Just as before I go, I feel awkward being on this side of the camera because I'm introverted, but I genuinely do appreciate talking to people who come to these sort of sessions and live streams and who comment and stuff. It's genuinely good to talk to you. You know, granted, if you were saying some horrific stuff to me, I might not like it. But you guys are nice. Yeah, exactly an example of why I'm a bit awkward, but that's whatever. Look, thanks for your time. Have a fantastic weekend. Stay cool, shredders. Spiderhands out. 3, 2, 1.